World's Strongest Man Day 1 is underway. We've had 3 events. It's been exciting. We have been relentless on our lives today, but we thought we'd do a quick wrap-up video for those of you that couldn't join us live. Now, an exciting first day, some big surprises. We started off with the loading event, they went on to the deadlift machine and finished day 1 with the log ladder. Let's get started with the results from the loading. So group 1 on the loading started fast and furious. We knew this group was going to be really good at the loading. We had Pavlo Kordiaka and Tom Stoltman, both in the same group. Both of them with blistering times, and Pavlo Kordiaka taking the win with 41 seconds, 41.38 to be exact. Tom Stoltman second place, 43.84.
Bobby Thompson was not the surprise because we know that he's massively improved this area of his game, but Bobby absolutely needed this in the first event.
I was so pleased to see Bobby come in third.
Emotional reaction.
We had Konstantin Janasha putting in a solid performance, doing all 5 in 61 seconds. Part O'Dwyer did all 5 in 65 seconds. And then Eddie Williams placing last in Group 1 in a time of 66 seconds. But every athlete in this group completing the course, all of them doing all 5 objects.
Group 2 then, and unfortunately before the loading race began, Iron Bibby pulled out of the competition. Now, we think it's a bicep issue. We're not exactly sure what the state of the injury is, but he was replaced last minute by Christian Haraldsson from Iceland. Iceland's strongest man, no less.
He is indeed.
Yes, so a very late call up to the competition as far as we can tell, but into the loading race results. And this was won by Alexei Novikov in this group. I don't think it should be any surprise to anyone.
No, we were expecting Alexei to win this one. The real surprise for a lot of people, I guess, was Christian Haraldsson taking second place. The man was kind of like, you know, not even expecting to compete. Iron Bibby just before the event pulls out and he's called in. And the guy comes and smashes this first event, takes second place in this group.
So then we had Thomas Evans in third place, 5 in 57 seconds. Behind him was Luke Stoltman doing 5 in 62. Gav Bilton then 5 in 63, very close in that group. And then finally Fadi Al-Masri, the only guy not to finish the full 5 implements, doing 4 in 49 seconds in that group.
So everyone has been talking about Group 3, lots and lots of talk before the competition, but I had a lot of faith in Mitch Hooper, and he started off the day perfectly, smashing out the second fastest time across all the groups and winning his group in a time of 42 seconds. Very, very good time there. Only Pavlo Kordiaka was quicker. Second in group number 3 with a time of 52 seconds was Ivers Schmaukstelis. Consistency is his strength. He's always performing well. Been on a podium in the last 7 international shows he's done. Good start for Ivers Schmaukstelis. Then we had 2 of our OSG top 3, Matt Ragg and Spencer Remick, taking 3rd and 4th place in this event. Really good start for those guys.
Yeah, very good.
And then a huge shock was Kiliashkovsky coming in 5th place in the loading. This is a lightning fast athlete. He's been so good at loading events in the past, but these things do happen on loading events. Terrible start for the pole. Probably the worst possible start he could think of, knowing that the deadlift is still to come on day number 1.
Apparently he really fumbled at getting it onto the platform, so he almost got the log stuck between him and the platform. And
I've seen it happen. You know, I think we can overlook it. You can kind of like think too much into it and think he's not in his best shape, but these things do happen sometimes on a loading event. And finally, Graham Hicks taking 6th place in the loading, only managing to do 4 of the 5 implements in group number 3. Group number 4, Lizzie. I don't think you've stopped smiling all day with this one.
No, I've been stressed all day. So group number 4, a lot of people have been saying Brian Shaw has been given an easy group, but some of the results in this group are absolutely insane. So starting off with the loading race, which was won by Jaakko Schoonwinkel. No one saw him coming and winning. That's good. Let's think, you've got Kevin Ferris and Adam Bishop, who are notoriously very, very quick at
We've seen Kevin at loading at World's Strongest Man be absolutely rapid.
Yes.
But it was Schoonwinkel who comes in and takes 1st place on the first event.
So Jaakko took the win there with a time of 47 seconds. Then behind him in 2nd place, none other than the Estonian legend, Rauno Heinla, doing all 5 implements in 51. And in 3rd place in that group was Brian Shaw, doing all 5 implements in 53. But after that, so you know, Brian, you expect to be top 3-ish. That's a great result for Brian.
Yeah, Brian would be happy with that. It's not his favourite event. He's a huge man. This is loading on sand. That makes it even worse. You're so heavy, you kind of sink into that sand. Brian happy with that start.
Yeah.
Big shock. Adam Bishop, who we expected to be really quick at this, came in 4th place, which is okay, but we were expecting more from him.
And he didn't finish. He did 4
Only
of the
4.
implements, yeah.
Gabriel Rayam only doing 4 implements, coming in 5th place in this group. But the big shock, Kevin Ferris, one of the fastest athletes out there, coming in last place, only managing to do 3 of the 5 implements.
One of his implements fell off the platform at the end, so that was a complete disaster for Kevin, unfortunately.
It's one of those events where nothing is guaranteed because you just can see mistakes happen. I've seen so many loading events over the years. One year, a guy will win it. The next year, they can come last. If you go and look at my history, every single place on a loading event, it's a frustrating one, but...
And it was a tough one as well, apparently.
It was very, very tough. On sand is tough. 5 objects, even tougher. They were really feeling it after this. And then finally, group number 5, and everyone's fears were put to bed with Evan Singleton looking calm and collected, absolutely smashing the loading event, taking the win. He'll be really pleased to start his competition off nice and positively. Now, Athor coming in 2nd place, doing what he does. He's another one of those guys, just goes under the radar, but a good, solid start for the Icelander, taking 2nd place on the loading in group number 5. And then we only had one other athlete to finish the loading. It was Trey Mitchell in a time of 66 seconds to load all 5 implements. He took 3rd place. And then we had the 2 Brits, Paul Smith taking in 4th place. He managed 4 implements, and Mark Felix also managing 4, a bit slower than Paul, taking 5th place. And then finally, Coco managed only 3 implements, not the start that Coco wanted, and he will need to do better in the events going forward. Event number 2 was the deadlift machine. This is 7 lifts starting with 290 kilos all the way up to 385 kilos. If the athletes managed to lift the 385 kilo weight, then they had the option to keep repping out. So 7 lifts to get up to the top weight, and then you just keep going for as many as you can.
Now, this was always going to be a tough ask for Pavlo Kordiaka, a bit like Mateusz Kieliszkowski. It's his one, I guess, weakness in his arsenal is the deadlift. But, well, tell us how it went, Lasse.
So in group number 1, Bobby Thompson taking the win. Over the moon to see Bobby smash this one. He's been put into a tough group. He's got to step it up. Good solid loading, but unbelievable deadlift. Expected a big deadlift from him. Then we had a tie with Konstantin Janasha showing us he is a good deadlifter. He's had some underperformances in the last year really, where we haven't seen the best of him, but he manages to get 6 reps on the deadlift, as does Tom Stoltman, joint 2nd place for those guys.
And that's a really interesting element. There's no split times on the deadlift, so there's quite a few tie points across the board, isn't there?
If you can kind of get that extra rep on everyone, it's big extra points. And then we had a tie between 3 athletes. So Pavlo Kordiaka, Para Dwyer and Eddie Williams, all of them getting 5 reps, which mean they tie and all 3 of them get 2 points.
Yeah, which doesn't feel like a lot,
It feels like it allows those athletes to get a little bit of a stretch on. So, interesting that there's no way of splitting up these tied lifts, but Bobby Thompson, very, very solid, taking the win ahead of the world's strongest man in group number 1.
So in group number 2, we also had a lot of ties, starting with Fadi Al-Masri and Christian Haraldsson, both tying for 4 reps. Now, Christian, he's an incredibly quick athlete, but we have heard that he may have struggled a bit on the power events.
I expected the power events. He is a bit smaller. His static strength isn't quite there with the top guys, but he is a good athlete.
And Fadi Al-Masri is still, he's totally new to this level of competition, but he's new to Strongman full stop, isn't he?
Good experience. He just needs to keep fighting for every point, enjoy the experience and keep pushing, prove he deserves to be here.
So then we had Gav Bilson, Luke Stoltman and Thomas Evans all tying on 5 reps, which kind of left the door open for Alexei, meaning he only had to do 6 reps to take the event win, and that's exactly what he did in his group.
He looks to be being methodical this year, not kind of just trying to dominate everything. He's just focusing on his group, doing enough to take the win, and smart by Alexei. We saw last year in the final, he was giving everything, in the heats as well, gave everything and eventually burnt out. I think he's got his eyes on the final. He's doing what he needs to do, being a very meticulous approach, and maybe it pays off. Right now, maximum points after 2 events. Right, group number 3, and this group is crazy. We knew it would be crazy beforehand. It's turning out to be that way on paper here. Mitch Hooper taking the win with 8 repetitions.
Nice.
Then we had Matt Ragg and Graham Hicks both getting 7. Now let's remember in Group 2, nobody got 7.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 athletes that have done 7.
To be fair, Alexi didn't need to do 7.
No,
I
he
think
didn't need
could.
to.
Yeah.
No, that's true. But the fact is, you've got 3 athletes there that have all hit 7 reps. Then we had Ivor Schmaukstulis and Spencer Remick both hitting 5. And then finally, Kiliash Koski's start to this competition not going well at all.
Oh.
This was more expected.
Yeah, it was.
His deadlift was always going to be the weakest event, but 1 point for him on the deadlift.
Hard.
Not where he wants to be right now.
Another absolutely crazy deadlift group was group number 4. My goodness, my gentle heart could not
This
cope.
group, when we looked at it, you kind of expected it to be good on paper.
Yes. So we had a couple of ties here. Kevin Ferris and Gabriel Rayon both hitting 5 reps. And then Jaco Schoonwinkel out on his own with 6 reps.
Unbelievable, Jaco.
Yeah, really, really good. Adam Bishop got 7 reps, which is very decent
Very,
by
very
anyone's standards. Yeah, so Brian had the advantage of going after Adam, and Brian hit an incredible 8 repetitions, which we were not expecting.
Honestly, this to me is a message, like Brian sending out a message telling everyone he is in shape and he is here to challenge for this title. I'm never convinced until the athletes get there. Brian has proven that he is hungry, that he's determined, because you've got to really push to beat the likes of Adam Bishop and, Rauno and people like this. When you've got that many great deadlifters in, there's a lot of pressure. He can't coast. You can't just do enough.
Nope.
You've got to push, and he's proven that his body can hold up. This was a big, statement there by Brian Shaw.
And then Rauno had the advantage of going after Brian. He got 8 reps also. Unfortunately, missed the 9th rep, but he should be happy. I know he's not. He doesn't want to share points on a deadlift.
2 athletes in a group getting 8 reps.
So much for this being an easy group for Brian.
No chance. This group is turning out to be a really exciting one to watch with so many chopping and changing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun one right till the end. And then finally, group number 5, a little bit more, as I guess expected in this group. Paul Smith only managing 4 repetitions. Coco managed 5, which is nice and solid. Athor also managed 5. Mark Felix at 57 years old getting 6 repetitions, tying with Evan Singleton. Evan actually went after Mark and could only match him. So it shows that Mark is still a very dangerous athlete. But Trey Mitchell, nice solid performance. He does 8 repetitions to win the deadlift in group number 5. So event 3 was the log ladder, and we start once again in group number 1, and the 2-time champion proving he's in shape, coming in doing all 5 logs to take the win in this group. Did it in a time of 41:56 seconds. Pavlo Kordiaka, very quick as well, all 5 logs in 46 seconds. The big story here, Bobby Thompson was absolutely flying through these, did 4 of these logs in a rapid time of 25 seconds, but ended up having some kind of hamstring issue. We're not sure if it's cramp or a potential tear in the hamstring.
I'm not sure.
We're waiting to find out. But Bobby was doing so well, absolutely gutted for him, because he's just really performed well today. These long days, they're in the heat, dehydration, they're big guys. Unfortunately, these things happen. But Tom Stockman taking the win there, 5. Pavlo Kordiaka with 5. Bobby Thompson did 4 in a very fast time. Eddie Williams also did 4, but much slower in 55 seconds. Konstantin Janasha doing 4 as well in 68 seconds. And then we had Paro Dwyer managing to do 3 in 25 seconds. So at the end of day 1, how does that leave group number 1?
As you can see now on the screen, the overall standings after 3 events. Paro Dwyer is in 6th place on 5 points. Eddie Williams is in 5th place with 6 points. Then we've got Konstantin Janasha in 4th place with 9.5 points. Pavlo Kordiaka in 3rd place with 13 points. Bobby Thompson in 2nd place with 14 points. And the 2-time champion Tom Stockman in 1st place right now with 15.5 points. Lots still to play for. Very different events in day 2. as they are in day one, where we've got more of the power events. But
absolutely, but looking good for the defending champion.
Looking very comfortable for Tom now.
So group number 2, and we start off with Christian Howardson and Fadi El Masri, both only managing to do 2 reps on the log. Not going to be enough to challenge some of the big log lifters in this group. Then we had Gav Bilton hitting 4 in 56.84 seconds. Gav putting on a solid performance here. Only good enough for 4th place though. Alexei Novikov only managing 4 repetitions, but enough to get him 3rd place. And then huge log lifter that is Luke Stoltman doing all 5 in 52 seconds. The surprise for me, it's not that he's a bad presser by any means, because he's an amazing presser, but to be winning this event against the likes of Luke Stoltman in an incredible time, all 5 logs in 38.96 seconds.
Fastest out
Thomas
of all groups.
Evans. Fastest time we saw all day.
Yeah.
Thomas Evans has turned up to World's Strongest Man, meaning business.
And he was a reserve. After 3 events, we have Fadi El Masri in 6th place with 3.5 points. Christian Howardson is in 5th place with 8.5 points. Gav Bilton is in 4th place with 9 points. Luke Stoltman is in 3rd place with 12 points. Thomas Evans in 2nd place with 14 points. And Alexei Novikov in 1st place right now with 16 points. So
Conan's Wheel, first event tomorrow, should be good for Alexei. You'd think he's going to be safe in 1st place. Looks like a real battle between Thomas Evans and Luke Stoltman, but Gav Bilton is not out of it yet.
No, and he's got the throwing, which he loves.
So group number 3, this has been an exciting group. Mitch Hooper, absolutely dominant day. 6 points in the first event, 6 points in the second event. Takes the win, all 5 logs in a very fast time, 39.51 seconds. He has got maximum points out of day 1 and takes the win in the log ladder. Matt Ragg taking 2nd place in the log ladder. He did all 5 in 56.84 seconds. Graham Hicks, 3rd place, 4 logs in 28.31. Ivers Schmaukstalis, 4 logs in 30.44. Mateusz Kiliaszkowski, it's not been a good day for the Polish superstar. 4 logs in 33.24. And we should point out, his 4 logs would have won in another group.
Yeah, they would.
But only good enough for 5th place in this group. And then we had Spencer Remick also doing 4 in 38.79 seconds.
That just shows how tough this group is. The second from last place in this group would have been 1st place in another group.
Absolutely. Let us know the overalls for group number 3.
Yes, so the standings after the first day, 3 events, we've got Mateusz Kiliaszkowski in 6th place on 5 points.
I can't believe that.
I can't believe it. Spencer Remick in 5th place with 6.5 points. Graham Hicks in 4th place with 9.5 points. Ivers Schmaukstalis in 3rd with 10.5 points. Matt Ragg in 2nd with 13.5, and Mitch Hooper in 1st place with 18 points, and a very nice, comfortable lead there.
Very good lead. But Matt Ragg has got himself in a great position as well.
Very good position. And
he's a good stone lifter.
Yes, he is, yeah. So
Ivers against him could be potentially hell of a stone off. Hicksy is not out of it yet, but he's got a lot of work to do tomorrow.
A hell of a lot.
Group number 4 is turning into an exciting one as well. Now, in terms of the log lift, not as good as some of the other groups, but we have Brian Shaw doing what he needs to do. Another solid performance from the 4-time World's Strongest Man. 6 points, 4 logs in 33.99. Jakob Schoenwinkel, 4 logs in 34.77 to take 2nd place. Rauner will be very happy with 3 in a fast time, 21 seconds, 0.6. Kevin Fairs did 3 in 28.93. Gabriel Rayam 3 in 32.96, and Adam Bishop 3 in 33.25. Now Brian doing what he needs to do, taking the win, but 5th place in Group 3 would have beaten everyone in this group.
Yeah.
Just shows how important groups can be.
Absolutely.
And, they were a great deadlift group, to be fair.
And this was a great deadlift group, but no one in this group got the 5th log. We know Brian attempted it. I don't know if anyone else did. Did Yakos
he might have, but, it's, big difference between some of the other groups.
A very strong deadlift group. After 3 events, day 1, Group 4 is shaping up with Gabriel Rayom in 6th place with 5.5 points. Oh, Kevin Ferris actually also with 5.5 points, so they're tied down there right now. Adam Bishop is in 4th place with 8 points. Jaco Skumwinkel with 14 points in 3rd place. Rauno Hainler holding on to 2nd place with 14.5 points, very close. And still close, Brian Shaw, 15.5 points in 1st place.
I think Brian will be really pleased to be leading after day 1. He's had some solid performances. His deadlift was unbelievable. Log did what he needed to do, loading for such a big man on sand, solid performance. But Rauno, for me, showing everyone that he really deserves to be at World's Strongest Man. And then finally, group number 5, and this one was pretty much straightforward as I would expect. You had Trey Mitchell taking the win, all 5 logs in 39.44, very fast time, one of the fastest all day. Evan Singleton did 4 in 35, enough to take 2nd place in this group. Athor keeping that consistency, like we said, if Evan is there to kind of make up a slip or a mistake, Athor will be right on him. And that's what he's doing, just constantly applying that pressure. 4 logs in 39.93 is good enough for 3rd place. Paul Smith picking up a few more points on this one. Log is a good event for Paul, 4 in 45 seconds. Coco managing 3 logs in 22.34. And poor old Mark Felix, he does not like the log. No, 1 log in 7.58 seconds.
Very fast one. So the standings after 3 events in Group 5, we have Coco in 6th place right now with 5.5 points. Paul Smith is in 5th place in that group with 7 points. Mark Felix in 4th with 7.5, very close there. Athor Ingolson Melstead with 11.5 points in 3rd place. Evan Singleton in 2nd place with 15.5 points. And Trey Mitchell leading the group with 16 points, but still very, very close at the top of that group.
Yeah, really close between those two. Good to see Evan performing as we know he can. Trey Mitchell, one of the favourites this year. He's always going to be a threat in any competition. Athor is the man that could cause problems still.
Absolutely. So,
but what a first day.
Mitch Hooper dominating, winning the first 3 out of 3 events. Rauno, I know people think maybe we're going too much, but he is like star of the day today.
He's been unbelievable.
Done so well.
I think if we look at like comparing across the board, I think Mitch Hooper and Tom Stoltman are probably looking...
Mitch is in 1st place and Tom is in 2nd.
If it was all...
if they were all competing
Novikov
together.
doing what he needs to do, not maybe looking as good as we would think, but is he saving energy? We'll see when it comes to that stage of the competition.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting first day. We hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have. Thank you for those of you that joined us on our lives. We'll be back tomorrow. Please remember, like, share and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with day number 2. Take care, guys.